Texas Podcast Massacre contains spoilers and adult language. Don't say we didn't warn you.
I can't see fucking shit out of this thing. Who made this goddamn shit? Willard's wife.
You make your own goddamn mind.
Look, nobody's saying they don't appreciate what Jenny did.
Well, if all I had to do was cut a hole in a bag, I could have cut it better than this. What about you, Robert?
Can you see? Not too good.
I just made mine worse. Anybody bring any extra bags?
No, nobody brought an extra bag.
Well, fuck all y'all. I'm going home. Now, I watched my wife work all day getting 30 bags together for you ungrateful sons of bitches, and all I can hear is criticize, criticize, criticize.
This is Texas Podcast Massacre.
You know, I think agreeing on the uniform is the hardest part of starting a cult. Welcome to the 9th episode of Texas Podcast Massacre, coming to you from Houston, Texas. I'm your host, Mitch, and with me are my two favorite cultists, Lisa.
They won't let me do anything around here.
And Nate.
Statistically, you're most likely to die in the hospital.
Good. Each week.
It's true.
It is true. Very true. Each week on Texas Podcast Massacre, we take a look at a different horror movie, we discuss some news, and debate some horror-related topic with our unsuspecting victims. This week, we're back from a trip to the void, and we'll be discussing this pseudo-Lovecraftian film with our good friend and first-time unsuspecting victim, David.
I am currently waving at nothing.
I was about to say, they can't see you wave.
You're waving.
I actually thoroughly enjoy waving when no one can see me.
You're waving at the void.
I know.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, David, with this being your first time, how would you describe yourself as a horror fan? Do you like horror movies? Are you not really? Where do you stand on it?
I enjoy horror movies, but I've come to terms with the fact that my wife thoroughly enjoys them, like way more than I do, which has sort of attacked my masculinity a little bit. Like, I feel comfortable in my taste of horror movies, and then she started all of a sudden putting me to a point where I'm like, I don't know anything.
You're like, I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, she'll start quoting movies from the 70s, and I'm like, what, Alien? Is that a movie? Does that count? Like, is that horror? I don't know anymore.
Yeah. So, like, what's your favorite type of horror movie then? For what you do, from the ones you do enjoy, I guess.
See, I feel like I have a split taste between either shit that is completely unreasonable and, you know, sort of I hate making this analogy, the Fast and the Furious world of horror movies, like things that absolutely just no one should enjoy ever, but I can laugh at, yeah. And then on the other end, I actually like the stuff that's not at all gory and is just like scary from the pure perspective of this could actually potentially happen.
It's like psychological kind of stuff.
Okay. I do like gore though.
Yeah.
I like things blowing up and guts and, you know.
Well, then you loved this movie, right?
Yeah, but it was missing that psychological piece because there was no logic, let alone reason, let alone psychology.
There was a doctor. He could have been a psychologist.
We'll get into that shortly. Rest assured, we have a lot to discuss about The Void. Real quick question, because you did bring it up. I know you do enjoy the Fast and the Furious franchise.
I do.
So in a recent episode, we talked about George Romero, the late George Romero, was working on
Road
of the Dead, or it was something to that effect. Essentially, it's described as zombies meet Fast and the Furious. It is actually still moving forward. I think they found funding, and they're still going to do it as a kind of a tribute piece. So, David, zombies in a Fast and the Furious type franchise movie. What say you?
What type of zombie? That is always my question. I mean, are we talking slow, like Walking Dead zombies?
Yes.
Because if you have like a shitbull 80s Camaro and you have a bunch of like shitty zombies, this is not a movie that's entertaining. Now, if you have like 28 Days Later zombies that are gonna like jump over the fucking car that's going 80 miles an hour, I'll watch that.
Well, this is Romero, so it's definitely the slow moving.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
But they're getting smarter. If you're following the chronology, Land of the Dead, they started getting a little smarter. That's the
where the guy picks up the gun.
Yes,
the zombie picks up the gun and learns how to shoot it.
Yeah. See, but that's why I was hoping that the zombies would be driving in this one.
Okay.
It is meant to be sort of death race ish,
but
where they're
just
racing
look like
for
Houston.
Well, also true.
Yeah.
Local joke.
Hey, I like cheap laughs, so gotta go.
Well, that's good. Well, you'll get plenty of them here. So, welcome to the episode. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
With that, we're going to move on to the news.
First eyewitness account came from people who were understandably frightened and almost incoherent.
So first, congratulations to us. We're officially on iTunes and Stitcher. Woohoo! I'll put some cheap applause music in post after that. So please, if you are listening now, make sure to go and check us out on iTunes and Stitcher. Subscribe, tell your friends about it. But we are now really pretty much everywhere and working to be on TuneIn and some other ones. So we'll let you know about those. So obviously Comic-Con's going on right now, or it's kind of wrapping up anyway. I do want to touch on just a few things from Comic-Con and just get your thoughts on it. So the first is the new Jigsaw trailer, because there hasn't been enough Saw movies. However, I will say this one is a little intriguing. The idea that the murders are happening despite the original Jigsaw killer being
for
dead.
quite some time.
Although I guess he's been dead for a couple movies. Yeah. But they've released a whole kind of photo set thing where the premise is there's just a lot of people taking part in it. There's a bunch of people wearing the pig masks and stuff. It's actually kind of piqued my interest level. So
it's like a cult thing now?
It's sort of what they're kind of get to, which, Chucky's doing a similar Cult of Chucky kind of thing. So I don't know if that's just kind of the direction a lot of these franchises
American
are
Horror
moving
Story
forward.
just released theirs.
Yeah, that looks cultish,
too. A lot of cults, and this movie has cults. There's cults kind of everywhere.
I mean, I feel like cults have the advantage that they are believable because they have been horrendous cults that are actually pretty effective, because when you have a bunch of people being able to do stuff, you can paralyze. You don't depend on one superhuman villain. You just have a bunch of horsepower.
Yeah. Cults are tricky. And that was the other piece of news, was American Horror Story revealed the next season will be cult. A clown cult at that.
Yeah, it's a clown cult.
It looked interesting.
Which
a
I guess
political clown cult.
It's very based on politics. With clowns, I guess. It's a big year for clowns this year with this. I think the whole cult things can be a little tricky though, because if there's, you got to sort of buy into a little bit of what they're talking about. There has to be some logical connection where even though you don't agree with it, we talked about the heel paradox, right? You can't just fully agree with what the heel's doing, what the bad guy is saying, but you got to at least kind of see the logic in it. Otherwise, it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Are we talking purely in the realm of horror movies, or are we talking cults in general? Because there have been actually successful cults.
I think in
where
general.
you just go what in the fucking world is wrong with you?
I agree, but I think there's still the Halley okay, so Heaven's Gate, right? Halley's Comet is going to take everyone away with Xena. Maybe I'm mixing up my cults. But
it doesn't matter.
Some sci-fi.
There's no cult specialists.
They're interchangeable a lot of times.
Agree. Yeah, it's batshit crazy, but you sort of you can sort of understand the rationale of why people would maybe flock to it.
Look, David is just saying they're not getting him.
No, I'm noping the fuck out of that one. You're not telling me on this.
So there's when you came here in your backpack, there's no white sheet with a triangle on it. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe there is. I don't know.
Right, wow.
Spooky triangle.
Spooky triangle.
Maybe they got new Nikes with them as well, and that's part of why. Because those masks look ridiculous. The only other real news I kind of wanted to point out, we talked about the cults. And I think we'll probably do something a little shorter, talking about all the Comic-Con stuff at a later episode. But the Ready Player One trailer just released. And the only reason I bring it up, because that's obviously not a horror movie, but there is literally a Freddy Krueger reference in the movie, in the trailer, which is kind of cool. There may be others, since it's very 80s specific, so just something to keep an eye on. I thought I was like the little Easter egg. I mean,
great book.
He got blown up, so I guess there's that, It was in there for 5 seconds, but those are pretty cool 5 seconds, I thought, So I think that's really it for the news this week. So I think we'll go to our debate question next.
You probably have quite a few opinions, but it's important to remember one thing. You're wrong.
So this week's debate question is, if your life was a movie that only had enough money for one location, what would that location be? So in the context of a horror movie, you're trapped in some location, and that's the only location. You have to bunker down. David, what would your ideal location be?
Do I get any more context in this, or is just do I need to pick one location?
So there's a cult coming after you.
There's a cult coming after you.
You're in a place. What's the best place that you?
Where
could
do
be
you
in?
feel like you have the advantage? Would you rather be at your house? Would you rather be at a hospital? Would you rather be?
So let's be super clear. I don't have any physical abilities that would allow me to have any advantage over anything, right? Like I have to rely on pretty much like the. I'm just thinking it would have to be somewhere where I have to have height and I have to have limited points of entry, right?
Okay.
Has to be somewhere where I can see everything that's going on. It's only one choke point to come in. And I have to be armed to the fucking teeth. Well, do I get to load up before I go to this place, or is it just I show up magically, like spawn, like?
I mean, you may have some supplies on you. I'm not limiting that, but you know.
In this movie, he didn't have a whole lot of chance.
But I mean, imagine you're gonna kind of stumble into a scenario.
And shit's going down.
Look, it can be zombie apocalypse, it could be cultists, it could be whatever. You have to bunker down somewhere. Where do you hope you're bunkering down at?
See, I originally thought it was just within the scope of this goddamn movie and where in the goddamn hospital I was going to hide.
David's answer is not where my wife is.
Do you want to think about it for a minute?
If I get to have my wife with me, that helps. So when we've talked in general, see, and this is the issue. You're talking cult, again, you need something smaller. Because if you're talking zombies, our plan has always been either Catalina or Alcatraz. Like something island-ish, limited ways of getting in. But now you're talking, triangle face people and
they can swim better. They can swim better than the zombies,
right? Like I'm almost thinking, like, are there any like Soviet or German era bunkers that you can hole up?
Not yet, but maybe in a year or so.
No, there has to be some in Siberia, though, right? Like, I actually like the cold. I'm gonna go with somewhere in Siberia, some sort of Russian bunker with a lot of dried food. They have to exist.
Is that because there's bears there?
Maybe. But then I don't know if that would help me though.
If you could train
them.
But then their white sheets would almost be camo though. You wouldn't be able to see them. So
Bear army.
So they have the fucking triangle, spooky triangle.
They could make a white triangle. I don't know. Put a triangle in the back.
That would kind of violate the rule. Then it would be in triangle because white on white is. Yeah.
You want to fit it? White on white is right.
Racist is what it is.
White on white.
Yeah.
Come to Siberia.
Tourism board.
Lisa, how about you?
I was thinking about this, and and this is sad because I think I'm the one that came up with this question, but I'm starting to think that it's less about where you are and more about who you're with. Like David said, if he had his wife with him, then they could probably figure it out. So,
by the way, I was saying my wife and guns.
Well, yes. You need supplies.
I can't use my wife as a baseball bat.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
so I don't know. I think my house. I think because I know this place, backwards and forwards. Mm-hmm. So I know how to get the hell out of here if I needed to. I know where stuff is. I know where my knives are. I think I'd want to be
Where
here.
are your knives?
You don't need to know that, Nate.
Okay.
So Lisa would be the worst person to be in the place with because she wouldn't tell you where the knives are. She would just hoard that for herself.
Look, you guys have seen these movies enough. Once shit starts going down, you can't trust anybody.
Oh, motherfucker! I forget. Wait, can I revise my?
Yeah, go.
Sorry, this is the weirdest reference, and I'm glad it's I don't know who's going to listen to it. Hopefully, not enough people. So I was in Idaho once. Okay, let me tell you a story.
All right.
I was in middle of nowhere, Idaho, visiting the land of my in-laws, which is outside Grangeville, Idaho, which is near nothing, Idaho. I can give you more reference, but basically it's like 3.5 hours outside of Boise or Tacoma. Nothing nearby. And anyway, we meet up with my father-in-law, and he's like, hey, let's go visit this one friend of mine. And this one friend of his has designed an entire house in the middle of nowhere, Idaho. Beautiful house, custom-made cabinetry, custom-made everything. And we were like, wow, this is, it's a great house. I don't know what the fuck you'd build in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, but clearly this is where you want it to be. And then he pointed to I'm not good with gun terminology, but the massive fucking gun that was mounted on the fucking roof of this house.
On the roof?
On the roof. So he had mounted something on the roof of his house that looked like a machine gun, had enough ammo to last him for, a couple of generations of killing things.
Gatling gun.
Yeah, that's what I want to call it, but I know it's not a Gatling gun.
That would be awesome, though.
Right, but it's something along those lines. Something that can kill a lot of people really quick.
Oh my gosh!
And it's in the middle of nowhere, Idaho. So there's like you can see miles of fucking like woodchucks and ground chucks and other rodents that they like to shoot for fun. So you have great visibility, Gatling gun at the top. It's at the end of a small house. So if you find yourself with a cold, you go up top and just start chopping down.
So that's where you want to be then.
That's where I want to be.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a stab and say this guy's not a fan of the federal government.
No. and
hey,
can you guess his ethnicity?
No, I can't.
Yes, you can. Because we're in Idaho, and I was the only brown person there for the last 100 years.
For the last 100 years.
My wife always tells the story. She showed up after never had been to Idaho and went to the local corner store, and they looked at her and went like, "You must be Larry Wasmsar, aren't you?" And she was like, "Yes, how the fuck do you know that?" She's like, "Because there's like 5 families here, and the genetics are distinguishable enough that clearly you must be one of them."
You see, that would worry me about staying at a small town because everyone knows, and if you walk into a cult situation, they're all about it.
What you're describing sounds like more of a horror movie than the movie we watched.
It's basically Get Out.
Yeah.
So
your life is Get Out.
So we're not going back to
Get Out.
That was decided. That was decided somewhere around the time that we saw 8-year-olds with rifles walking around and liberal use of words that I don't want to hear.
Look, you got out of there once. Don't chance that.
I'm not chancing it.
Yeah, don't risk it. No, that makes sense.
All that to say, like I was like the one brown person there.
That's the movie. That's the movie we need to get. We need to get funding for a movie just called Idaho, and it's a straight horror. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'll put some on our website for that.
Yeah.
Nate, all right. So what do you got?
One of the only things this movie nailed is the hospital. I think I would pick a hospital for this scenario. There's enough, I don't know, non-hidden knives, Lisa. There's enough like scalpels and stuff to be for weapons. If you get hurt, you have pills and gauze and antibiotics and all that kind of stuff. Seems like a pretty good scenario, actually.
So
motherfucker, what knowledge of fucking pills and gauze and shit do you have that are going to use them effectively?
I mean, enough where if...
This is not a video game. You just shoot yourself with antibiotics and get your health back.
If I'm bleeding, then I can get like a compress or something. I can use that. I mean, that's no problem.
I mean, Google's still working, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, obviously not, because they couldn't call anyone. Even the landline wasn't working.
Well, that's because they were in some tiny ass town with no antennas or towers or anything. They were in Idaho.
So Google doesn't work then.
We don't know where this took place. It literally could have been Idaho. We don't know, like what.
Okay,
like
I got at least 3G in Idaho. I did not get 4G.
Wasn't it Canadian though? I'm jumping ahead. I thought this was Canadian.
Was it Canadian?
I think it was.
I don't think they ever established a location.
It sounded very American.
Oh, I don't.
It may have been filmed.
in Canada, but anyway.
It may have been.
I mean, I didn't hear any of boots.
So hospital.
No reference to maple.
As long as you have not insane doctors.
Yeah, and ideally, okay. Let me rephrase it. A hospital that's like not half burnt. With actual, that's not half burnt down. Like a functioning hospital. There we go.
I don't know, but I feel like here in Houston, if you go look at Memorial Hermann, that is the worst possible place you could be in.
No, Ben Taub would be totally worse.
I'm just saying. Like,
hey, Ben Taub might be armed.
True.
I'm saying anything that's like 10 stories high and like consumes an entire city block. Like, there's no way for you to control that amount of real estate. Like, you need something smaller.
But you would have unlimited hospital cafeteria food that I'm sure never expires. So. Yeah.
Again, but what am I fighting? Because if I'm fighting a cult, this is not a siege during the Middle Ages.
It depends.
Like, if it's zombie apocalypse, then I want dried food and lots of it. But I agree. Zombie, hospital,
think about it, though. I mean, like, other locations have less bedpans, too. So, I mean, also another feature, too.
What? To hit people?
That's what I'm saying.
We're all caught up on Game of Thrones, right?
No. Let's not
I am, but I got you. I know where you're going with that.
I mean, it doesn't ruin anything. There's just a gross scene with bedpans.
Yeah.
It's just unnecessary and not easy to digest.
Poor Sam.
All right, Mitch, what do you got?
I mean, to me, the staple's Walmart because you have guns, you have medical supplies, base medical supplies. But unless you have some major condition you have to worry about, you really don't need a whole lot more at a hospital that you can't get at a Walmart. Also, food, a lot of food that won't necessarily crap out on you, expire pretty soon. And they have the big shutters that you can just lock down.
Camping gear.
Yeah, camping gear. You're pretty loaded. And again, there's your ability to find a Walmart somewhere, whether it's Supercenter or not. Pretty easy.
What about Target? What's the contrast of Target versus that?
Just a slightly upscale version?
Yeah, do you want like a something more upscale version of that?
It's the same shit.
I feel like Walmart would have more variety, more choice.
Now, again, if you're getting like game theoretical about this shit, right? Like
Sure.
everyone's going to go to Walmart. So maybe you actually want to find Kmart. Like the one that no one would remember even exists. Like you want to go to that.
Okay, so David is hunkering down in the TJ Maxx.
I'm going to have a lot of signs on the wall that says like live, love, pray, like eat shit. Like,
But then you're going to Marshall's home store. I love that we're giving so many plugs.
I mean, they're the same. They're owned by the same shit, right?
Sponsored by TJ Maxx.
I don't.
I think they are. No. My wife is dragged me to more than one of those.
Okay. How about this? Instead of a Walmart, what if you would go to like a Cabela's?
But that's where everyone that has food is going to be at.
Because you don't know how.
You need medicine. You need
I'm pretty sure they have enough beef jerky to last you forever.
Yum.
Beef jerky is good.
See, that's all you need.
That's fair.
Okay.
But they're right though. Medicine.
Yeah,
basic
you
even
need the
medicine. Like, you're not
yeah.
even going to get antibiotics because they're prescription. So
yeah,
right.
Oh, you could break into.
And
the
most
back,
Walmarts
right?
have pharmacies, so
yeah.
Yep.
And Target.
I like it, Mitch.
I guess-
I'm going with you.
I guess I'm just anti-Walmart.
No, you're not going with me. You're hiding all the knives.
For a Target. Yeah, you're gonna stay here while Mitch goes to Walmart. You're just gonna be like petting the knives. Mitch, come back to me.
Don't worry, I'm fine.
Just saying. I know I'm a slower person, and that just doesn't ever work out in a group.
Yeah,
I feel like speed wise, I would have a little bit of an advantage in this group. I
Right.
think, probably. That's okay. That's good.
Wow,
Good to
you think
know.
I'm slow?
Good
Is
to
that-
know. All you gotta do is be faster than how fast you can run, and then how long your arm is with the.
Will
knife
you
on the
please
end of
stop
it.
staring at me while you're saying this?
I mean, no, sadly, he's right. Like,
I just have to be faster than your fat ass.
like Mitch, it's you and me, man. Like we're dragging this team behind. So
Right.
I may kick you in the knee and just run. That may happen.
I'll just grab one. You just hold back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, this got dark real quick. So
Clearly, we have each other's backs in case anything happens.
No, I don't have anyone's back. Like, just to make it very clear, if shit goes down, I'm leaving
You're on your
everyone
own.
behind. And my wife is the only one that, like, gets any support here. The rest of you, you're on your own. No, we planned this out. We've also figured out, like, hey, anything that looks like zombie shit going on, one of us gets bitten, the other one shoots the other one in the face.
Yeah.
You're
like,
done.
It's been agreed upon.
And that's what we always say for the other zombie movies we've done is that no one in zombie movies has ever seen a zombie movie. That's the thing we hate every time.
And that's what I was gonna give this movie props about, is that it's a situation that at every step of the way, no one could have had any idea that that's how it was going to.
Oh yeah, them
develop.
freaking out 100% legitimate.
Right, like
yeah.
you're like I like at every step I don't understand what is happening,
Yeah,
so
you're-
my reactions are bad.
Yeah, you're like
Yeah.
face triangle. What do I do with a face triangle?
what?
I
Right,
have
like
no- I
the
have
Ku
no
Klux
clue.
Klan of triangles is outside.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to react to this. There's one dude. I'm gonna approach him. I'm like,
KKK has 3 things in it, and it's like a side of a triangle. Just saying. Oh.
I'll tell you what. Since we're jumping into it, why don't we move into this week's movie, The Void?
Haven't you ever wished to save someone beyond saving? No matter what the cost? This is uncharted territory. The body has to adjust, of course. We weren't built for this kind of thing. You'd be surprised at the things you find when you go looking.
All right, so this week's movie is The Void, which follows Daniel, who is a local cop who is tracking down or trying to help a person he finds out in the woods, tries to get him help at a hospital and finds things are not as they appear. This is a very...
They're not. That
is the understatement of the fucking year.
Yeah.
So, this movie... Well, let's start. Nate, I know you've got our stats, so what can you tell us about this one?
Sure. So The Void came out this year, 2017. It's got a 73% on Rotten and 5.8 on IMDb. I'm assuming that if we voted, these numbers would be going down. The runtime was a tight 90 minutes, so it didn't overstay its welcome very much.
Did you say 78%, Nate?
Is that the audience score or the critic score?
We're losing him. Get the meds. If only we were in a hospital, I could save him.
He could survive at a CVS with some cough drops.
Some lozenges.
Some Ricola.
Yeah, anyway.
Sorry, total side note. I knew a girl in college whose name was Ricola, and it was weird. Proceed.
All right.
Wow.
Did you, I mean, when you asked for her, did you do the sign off?
No, because I was foreign as fuck, so I had never heard it in my life. And my friends
so
had
it
to
meant
inform
nothing
me,
to you.
like, by the way, this bitch's name is, like, consistent with cough drops. And I was like, why?
Okay.
She's like, I like David the most because he's not making that reference. Only because he doesn't know it. That's probably the only reason. Anyway, yeah, so Rotten was 73%.
73. That's
Yeah.
still way too
Yeah,
high.
still-
Audience or critics?
That's the critics. The critics like movies. We went over
Yeah.
this with It Comes at Night. The critics sometimes they just like movies because they overthink it. It's like it's crappy. Just
Okay. Yeah,
go with it.
okay.
The box office was 151,000. Not a lot. Budget unknown. It actually was partially crowdfunded on the Indiegogo platform, so it raised $82,000, and then they used that for some of the practical effects for like the monsters.
How disappointed would you be if you crowdfunded this movie?
Well, no, what's cool is as part of the crowdfunding, you could be like one of the cultists in the movie, or like you could be
that's cool.
one of the people who had makeup put on them.
That's cool. You get to point out the film and say, "Hey, that's me."
Yeah,
Which one?
I'm cultist 7,
regardless of whether you paid $5 or $5,000.
I'm next to that tree. No, not that one. The one behind that one. That's me. No, but yeah. So it was crowdfunded. That's kind of cool. The directors were Jeremy Gillespie and Steven Kostansky, and they're kind of memorable because the Jeremy Gillespie, he's usually an art director or graphic designer for movies. He worked on It, Suicide Squad, The Expanse, Pacific Rim, and Kostansky is the makeup and special effects guy, which was used a ton in this movie on It as well, Suicide Squad, Crimson Peak, Clown, a bunch of other movies. One of the cool things about these guys is they co-directed a movie previously called Father's Day that came out in 2011. The top plot keywords on IMDb for that movie are priest, incest, vomiting, and nude waitress. So future episode potentially.
Oh, watch that.
It was on a TV show called Theater Mode, I guess, which is like a Mystery Science Theater ripoff. And during that show, they had 2 content advisory warnings about this movie because it's so graphic and ridiculous. So
Wow.
yeah, so they're old hands at all this monster, ridiculous gore stuff. The hospital that they used was the same as Planet Terror, which is super cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and the tagline for this movie is "There is a hell, this is worse." And I'm assuming a lot of us felt that way about the movie.
So wait, was this filmed in Austin then, or?
That's a great question. I should look that up.
Okay. Yeah, well, because I think I'm blanking on his name, but
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, he does most of his work in Texas and Austin, in the Austin area. So that'd be interesting. I'd be curious. That's somewhere we could go visit.
Did they get a discount because it was a used hospital? Maybe. No. Just saying.
Oh my goodness. All right. So overall impressions of this movie. David as our guest. Just quick hit. What'd you think about the movie?
See, it was building, and I was hoping it would build into something interesting, and then towards the end, it just felt like they ran out of budget and had to like wrap it up quickly, and it just went nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prior to that, it was gory, but it was semi entertaining. A lot of bad decisions, but again, triggered by stuff that makes sense. I was surviving it, and then at the end, it just fell apart.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I liked it for a lot of the practical effects, for a lot of the subject matter anyway, because I do love H.P. Lovecraft type stuff. So you can usually sucker me in with any sort of thing in that realm. But I agree. I think it started off with a lot of premises and a lot of little threads that never really resolved to anything. It's just a lot of like short story ideas that are rolled into one, and then it's just okay. Well, cool. They're just there at a point.
I think the other thing that stood out to me is there was very little, like, for a movie that seemed to be relying heavily on you to give a shit about the characters, there was very little character building. Like, I didn't give a shit about, like, this lady lost her baby. Okay, super sad, but you need to help me connect with her so I know who she is and why this was sad. But at the end of the day, it's like none of these people mattered. And they all start dying.
If you had to pick a character who mattered the most to you, who would it be?
See, I connect very much to the really angry dude that shows up with a rifle ready to shoot everyone. You know, like, he doesn't understand what's going on, but he knows that he needs to put foot to ass really quickly. Like, that's the guy I'm relating to. I'm like, he's confused, bad things are happening, and people are doing stupid things, and he just wants to shoot whatever moves.
Yeah,
that's my guy.
That'd be Vincent, which I even wrote down for my note is they ask him, do you know what's going on? No. And I wrote, why are you killing everything then? He is not even waiting.
So, and again, like, the characters that are in the hospital from the beginning don't understand where this dude is coming from. This dude just went to some location where there were a bunch of dead people that had clearly been part of something horrendous. Mm-hmm. So he comes in, again, looking to put foot to ass and figure stuff out. He's not looking to, like, help people.
No.
So I can relate to that. Like, that dude is just, he wants to solve things. He doesn't want to, like, get into this touchy-feely, I don't care who you are, I've never met you in my life, I don't care about your well-being.
Touchy-feely, being a human.
Who has the time? Who has the time?
It's tough.
Nate, what were your overall impressions?
Yeah, I really liked the practical effects on the monsters. Those were super cool. Yeah, there's a lot of threads in that just never, like, kind of came across. A lot of half-baked ideas, which I didn't like. They never made it make any sense why, like, people were dead and then not dead, and then why they were, like, weird, I don't know, like, weird or, like, monster things, but then they were, like, talking normally. Like, I guess I didn't really, like, figure out, like, why that was happening. Did you guys ever...
I mean, it sounded like this dude just kept running experiment after experiment, and some of them were different degrees of successful, and towards the end, he was getting closer-ish. What I didn't understand is why all of a sudden this, like, gigantic spider-looking thing was the culmination of his work. Like, I feel like if I'm trying to revive my daughter, you know, my daughter dies.
You want your daughter?
Exactly. I want to bring her back to life. This is the first thing, but, like, I was watching it with my wife, and she's like, that's not your daughter anymore. Yeah. Like, there's no point in
No, but his daughter loves Spider-Man, though.
Yeah, she must have.
But the thing that didn't make any sense, and I'm jumping way ahead in the movie, is that thing comes back, whatever reincarnation of his daughter, they immediately start attacking her, and he doesn't do anything. He was just like, oh, okay, I spent all this time to bring my daughter back, now they're going to kill her, whatever.
That's where things fell apart for me. At that point in time, something more interesting could have happened. Like, if his daughter legitimately came to life like a normal human being.
Yeah.
I feel like then things would have turned morally interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're a doctor, you do some weird shit to people, a bunch of them die, but your actual daughter comes back.
Yeah.
Then I can, to your point earlier, I can relate to you now. Like, okay, you accomplished something.
Right.
But no, you revive, like, fucking this monstrosity thing that...
Yeah.
Now, obviously, none of us understand what happens on the other side of the shiny triangle, because, you know, that's what happens at the end of the movie. People fall on the other side of it, and now it's a different world. And what do people look like in that world?
It's the void.
Exactly. Which, if I would have gotten any sort of hint on what's happening there.
Yeah. Lisa, your overall impression.
What episode is this? We're on 9?
This is the 9th episode.
So I've sat through 8 horror movies. Some of them good. Some of them I probably wouldn't have watched unless we did this podcast, but that's the point. This is honestly the first time that I sat through a movie and I was like, I want my hour and a half back. I did not enjoy this. I was not happy. For all the reasons you guys said, right? There's no character development, so I really don't care about any of these people or what's going on. The one big plot twist that they had with the pregnant lady having the doctor's baby.
That was awesome.
Could have been awesome. Like, oh my gosh. And it was just so lackluster. She's like, I'm having the doctor's baby. You're like, I don't care.
I think you're downplaying how evil she was. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, she killed her own grandfather. So that one part, there was something to it. But for all the reasons you guys said, right? Like, I don't know what the motivation was. He's trying to bring his daughter back, and it brings this monster back, and then he doesn't even care. And
the motivation, I think in this movie, you could say the motivation was just evil. And then, just don't look into it anymore.
I guess.
Just evil. That was it.
But then it was like, there's all these cult people, and how do they fit into this, and what are they trying to get out of it? And I mean, yeah, they were all cool with their synchronized knives when they whipped them out, but
yeah, So let's talk about these characters a little more in depth. So we have Daniel, who's the cop. He's kind of our protagonist, who I thought actually overall was, I mean, at least his character, he sort of was doing what I would call rational decision. You know, horror movies to me, if they're not, they have to be marked by some sort of rationalism. Otherwise, it really just goes off the handle. At least he had. Lisa is clearly already.
The reason I'm shaking my head is because you say he made a rational decision, but he clearly doesn't want to go to that hospital. Like, he's arguing with the dispatcher, like, oh,
because his wife's
I really
there.
don't want to go there. I want to go. So why don't it's 20 minutes away? Keep driving. Just go.
Well, but he has a guy who's like in shock in his car.
That guy lasted the rest of the movie. He was fine.
Well, he did because he got to the hospital.
Fine.
But there's like micro irrational versus macro irrational.
Sure.
Yeah,
like he made some mistakes, but it's one of those where like, if you know the whole thing of what's going to happen, you wouldn't have done
he's
that.
also having visions and like seizures. I mean, the other got a little bone here.
Right.
That's true.
I mean,
but like along the way, to your point, like even like, okay, he heads downstairs, right? He's going through this basement, like. That's still logical from the perspective of he's trying to find his now ex-wife, I assume. It makes sense.
I think they were still married, I think.
I think so too.
They never
were
clarified.
they? It wasn't very clear.
Well, he said my wife at one point. He's like, I'm going to find my wife. So I think they were just estranged.
And his wife is Allison, who is a nurse at this hospital.
She's ballsy. She's ballsy.
Oh yeah, she didn't care.
She's not taking shit.
Yeah, okay, but like, and this is where I question things, right? If there's a dude that's really angry, holding a gun, and has already threatened to shoot people, I don't buy this whole, like, I'm a nurse, I'm going to walk up and slap a dude in the face.
Yeah.
Like, these are the things in movies where I'm like, no. Even ballsy people know that, like, that dude that's about to shoot someone, you just, like, fall back. Go.
You gotta have priorities because there's cult people outside. There's, like, a weird... and like weird monsters, and she's like, "Don't smoke in here." Like that's the fight we're gonna pick. Is about the smoking. I mean, right? Yeah, I don't know how much. Yeah, that was ridiculous.
And those are the parts where I'm like, that's where I get baffled by movies when like they build a plot out of lack of communication. Like again, I can relate to the dude that walks in not giving a shit about anyone else, but still communicate, talk, explain. Like, hey guys. I'm a little bit strung out because I just came from a house where everyone was murdered. Yeah. So let me lay that out there so you guys understand why I'm about to shoot every single motherfucking one of you.
Yeah.
Once we've established this, you can then communicate back to me like, hey, we didn't know anything about this, so maybe we should unite forces rather than fucking try to shoot each other.
David is offering his communications workshop to any horror movie characters out there.
So you're saying it's not just the key to a good marriage, it's the key to any good relationship.
It is the key to survival in this brutal world.
That's right.
It is the key to workplace communication as well. If you withdraw information from people, only bad things can happen.
Didn't you get the memo?
So now the character you're talking about, that's Vincent, who's the dad. And then there's also Simon, who's his sort of mute older son. And I guess he's mute because he got attacked and I don't know, they pointed some bandage. I didn't quite understand how that made him.
He got cut in the throat.
He trusted someone one time.
I think he trusted...
that is the only explanation.
Yeah, don't trust anyone.
No, but
don't trust people ever.
I was super curious about their backstory. All they gave us was that weird flashback where like his dad attacks him. I think his dad's the one that gave him that cut.
I thought he was just trapped in that illusion.
No, I think his family got killed while the son was there. He didn't protect him enough, so then he attacked him as part of the vision that they were having.
I don't know, but yeah, so very quickly, right at the beginning of this movie, the first thing you see is him just shooting this one girl in the back and then just set her on fire, which means they had a plan to do this. So I don't know how long they've been dealing with this cult, or that, I mean, that clearly they had to have at least planned this. I don't know too many people that are carrying around gasoline and matches like, well, here's our problem.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like you walk in and you explain like, hey guys, we're dealing with some weird shit. The only thing we figured out to resolve it is to shoot him in the head and set them on fire. So, you're going to see some weird stuff. You should probably shoot it in the head and let us set it on fire. Once we've established that baseline behavior, let's just go. And people will have questions like, hey, why do you need to set them on fire?
Yeah.
And you will answer, because if you don't, they turn into fucking like...
But then those people were also just saying that about everybody. Like, they wanted to kill the cop. They wanted to kill the guy who escaped. They kind of wanted to kill everyone.
Risk averse. Sometimes you're not welcoming risk into your life.
Normally, if I'm surrounded by hundreds of cult members, ideally I'd want to keep as many people around as possible to help me. That would be my strategy. So David and I think differ maybe.
Well, I'm just saying you got to sell it. Like, you got to walk in and you got to start talking. You got to start explaining. You got to bring people to your side. You can't just show up.
Well, he has a gun. I mean, that helps. Hey, listen to me for a second while I point this gun at you.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Start with that.
So other characters at this hospital are Maggie, who is the pregnant girl, and her grandfather, who I didn't bother learning his name because...
The grandfather. He was my favorite character probably the whole movie.
Gramps.
He was just like stone-faced, like all these things happening.
Yeah.
I can't keep bringing her every time she gets a cramp.
Hyper-focused. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's what growing up in Idaho will do for you.
Yeah.
You're ready for this.
And then all that focus and attention paid off at the end. Oh.
And then, of course, the antagonist, Dr. Richard Powell.
I wrote Bargain Basement Malcolm McDowell.
Yes.
True.
Absolutely true.
Okay, someone tell me a Malcolm McDonald song right now. Because we all know.
No, you mean Michael McDonald?
Oh fuck! Am I confusing your names? Shit! Can I play the foreign card?
Yeah, play the foreign card.
I'm foreign.
David is producing a card from his pocket, putting it on the table right now.
I don't know the things.
What's going on?
He's confusing the void and 40-year-old virgin. Easy mistake to make.
God. All right, so those are your major players. I mean, the doctor.
You forgot the intern.
Oh yes, Kim,
who did nothing.
The worst intern in the world.
Who complained that no one let her do anything, and then she had to give the pregnant lady drugs. She's like, I don't know what to do.
Well, I mean, they also did like ask her to give her his C-section without any like support or drugs.
Okay, do you watch The Walking Dead?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Carl performed a C-section.
Oh,
if Carl can do
Carl's
it,
mom also died during
these
it.
are fictional. These are fictional characters.
That's besides the point. Okay.
No.
Also, Carl's
it is not because Carl sucks.
Well, Carl's a serial
Carl
killer in training though, so this is probably fine. He was probably ready to cut his mom up. This
I don't know. I can relate with the intern because that would have been kind of my general reaction. Like I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
I was supposed to be here today. Exactly. That's exactly what went to mind.
She's just there to remind you that interns are the worst.
No,
actually grad students are.
Grad interns.
She knows how to move, files and boxes. That's her.
But she didn't though.
Well, that was supposed to be her main skill, and then
Beverly got mad and got so mad that she started like stabbing a patient in the face and cutting off her own face.
Yeah,
so.
that was the other piece where we were like, okay, if you're a cop, you should have at least basic training to know that if someone's, let's say, methed out of their mind, let's assume that's what you're blaming that on,
right?
Wouldn't you just like, okay, that dude on the bed is dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally dead. No saving him. There's one crazy bitch in front of me. I'm just going to close the door and just lock her in there for the time being rather than just shoot her in the face. Like, at that point in time, that guy has no idea there's this cult of evil monster.
Don't you have to have a face to get shot in the face, right?
That was the problem. I think as soon as she turned around, he's like, "Is her face cut off?"
Her face
then he
is
kind of like
gone.
panicked.
Okay, but like, what is it? Bath salts? Is that what Florida people do?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So people in Florida have been doing this for a while. Cops have encountered this situation, and they don't just shoot people in the face. That would be kind of a problem.
I mean,
like that's why the older cop dude showed up, and he was like, "What is it? Your dad would be upset about this shit show."
The old cop was worthless.
Yeah, his name was Mitchell, and he was useless.
Mitchell.
Yeah. You see,
all Mitchells are useless.
Well, yeah, that's why you change your name to Mitch. That's how you know the difference. If they're staying as Mitchell, useless.
Yeah, I mean,
no gumption.
I loved how in this movie it was like, you know what, this face is just slowing me down. I need to get out of here. It happened multiple times. That was weird.
Wait, hold on. So was that a personal decision from these creatures to cut off their face, or is it something that happened naturally?
Who knows? It's like the cult. I mean, who knows how these people can find the thing? Where this alarm's coming from? No one knows anything.
And that's where I need some more backstory. Like, why all of a sudden cut off your face? Again, is it meth, or is it like?
Yeah, because she was
natural.
She was normal. Like, I guess people will react to the opening of the void differently. I guess maybe because the cop had visions, right? He was like.
Not sure.
Kind of shaken up. I wonder if some people just like.
So, like, when the basement opened up into the quote unquote void, everyone started like
freaking
losing
out?
their shit in different ways.
But that's not. It happened earlier than that because Bev takes off her face like at the very beginning of the movie. Before
the void was open. It was like
the timelines. Yeah, I mean,
the void was preheating at that point.
It was preheating.
So when it started, I don't know.
All right, so let's talk about the lowest rated hospital on Yelp. This terrible. First, let's go to the one hospital that has a major, fire and everyone's moving out. So that's where we're all going to congregate.
And your wife happens to be there that you're estranged from because your kid died.
Right.
Yeah, there were so few people at that hospital. You'd think they just would have, I don't know, transferred them to another hospital.
Well, they were just at the end. They were just about to do that. So
right. Yeah. I think my issue really with this hospital, it's clearly not staffed very well.
No.
Clearly, there's no ambulance. There's no really any sort of like realistic support. They should have said, hey, we're going to like take you to the next one real quick. Like, we're not seeing anyone right now.
Yeah.
We're not accepting new patients.
I mean, obviously the only reason why is because there's one doctor. And which I guess isn't really that uncommon for a hospital because I don't feel like I can ever get to more than a doctor.
Oh, commentary.
Right?
Social commentary.
I mean, granted, I guess it's open because this doctor's evil and wants to keep everyone in the void.
Yeah, what was... Okay.
But I don't understand why he wanted... Why are the cults... We'll get into the cultists in a bit, but why are the cult trying to keep everyone at the hospital? They're not all really part of his plan outside of the one nurse, and she has to work there.
No, I think he needed more sacrifices. I think that he
did because he didn't really straight up sacrifice. I mean, they just all died.
No one
really,
escaped with the pregnant lady because the baby was important.
That's. I think the cult members were actually supportive of this entire endeavor to like deal with the void in whatever way gives you like super life, or I don't know what the fuck to call it.
Super life.
Yeah, I'm just making it up.
Monster life.
Right,
whatever.
monster life.
Yeah.
So it makes sense at the end that they're trying to keep everyone in. My immediate thought, like halfway through the movie, was like, why is this pregnant bitch in middle of nowhere, like hospital where no one's actually helping you give birth? And then it makes sense. Okay, yeah, evil doctor, you're carrying his baby. Okay, got it. Makes sense. But,
it was a good twist though. That twist. I mean, I didn't see the pregnant lady stabbing her grandpa happening. I mean, that was shocking.
I didn't see it. But to Liz's point, it could have just been a better, like they could have done more with it. Mm-hmm. It was a good plot twist if you had milked it for what it's worth.
Right.
Well, I feel like all the revelations in this movie could have been that way. For instance, when you find out that the nurse and Daniel were together, and that she had the miscarriage essentially. They do that so early in the movie that by the time they get to the scene later where he again makes the rational decision, it's like, nope, you dead, and cuts her head off. It would have been more shocking and more. I think it would have been more impactful had you found out about it like then. And then he's still doing that whole line about I saw your face, you were so relieved, and you have all that going on instead of like by the time you're there, you're like,
of course,
okay, like all the emotional punch from that whole section is just gone already before you even get to it.
Yeah,
there were a lot of good things good shocks they could have had. They just handled them poorly. I think.
If you condense this movie in about 15 minutes, I think you got a really solid 15 minutes of cool things happening.
Which is what every movie
everything around it is kind of.
And even then, I was like, hour and a half. That's reasonable, but they didn't do a good job with it.
No.
Again, no one has a cell phone in this small town.
No.
You do have the radio in the car, though.
They don't. Well, the radio doesn't work because
he called dispatch.
Spooky triangle people are able to block everything.
Initially, it worked, but then as the void became again, once the preheating stage, then you get into the main cooking stage, and then which makes all the radio signals go away.
We never get it. That is actually maybe to give the movie props. It's probably the one thing the movie does well is you're actually not super sure what time period you're in. That could have actually been the 80s in rural Idaho. or last night in rural Idaho.
That's true.
Right?
You don't know.
There's no giveaway like.
Are you trying to say that rural Idaho is timeless?
Maybe. I don't have a lot of fun words for rural Idaho. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, the point being, it's not like you can certainly point and say like, "Hey, that was this decade." So clearly, they should have had cell phones.
Yeah.
Because even though, I would have expected. Actually, now that I think about it, the whiny intern nurse, if she was that bored of filing boxes, she would have been dicking around on Facebook or Instagram, like any 20-something-year-old does. Is that what the kids use still today? Instagram?
Sure. Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
I'm still on Facebook. I'm old.
Check
People
out
are laughing because they're all on Facebook too. Like no one's on Instagram.
David is currently periscoping this, but no.
This hospital. My issue with the fire and why I bring up the cell phones is the phones aren't working, lights are flickering. I don't know what this fire took out, but everyone's just kind of like, oh well, hospitals.
The basement.
It was a basement fire because the monsters started it by, I'm assuming, running their face into something that caused the fire because that's all the monsters really did.
Well, I get we find that, but I'm talking about at the beginning when these people have a chance to say, hey, maybe this isn't the best hospital to be at right now.
Okay, wow, now it's really blowing up for me.
Wouldn't
the fire department where the fires were, find the bodies?
Like fucking investigate?
Terrible, because they clearly weren't moved. They've been there for a while.
Right.
Wow, okay, that's...
Now, mind you, Idaho Fire Department.
Maybe the fire department's in on it. It's also one guy or something, maybe. In this
maybe the fucking doctor volunteers as a firefighter.
Now let's talk about the cultists who are I think they're trying their damnedest, but not very effective. For instance, they're trying to get rid of the getaway car. And they just move it down the road,
Move it 10 feet.
But they just it's like 10 feet away. They just have to walk further to get the shotgun. How about just someone just I'll volunteer to drive it off and I'll be back in like an hour. I don't think this is going to resolve that quickly, right? You know.
Well, wait. Also, why are cultists not allowed to go in and grab the shotgun? Is there a moral code?
It's knives only.
Well, right. Was that part of this?
It's more pure, maybe. Maybe like the Cthulhu monster in the void likes knives more. You think from based on the monsters that all of the cultists would have to carry a tentacle with them and then use that to kill people instead.
That sounds sexual.
Well, I mean,
the knives. Apparently, they were having sex in that place, and then the doctor was watching. So,
well, the knives were sort of curved, so I mean, tentacle-esque. I mean, these masks are dumb because the more you think about it, it's a triangle, but if you think about where your face sits, you definitely don't have eye slits.
They should have turned it upside down. The triangle upside down for the widest part near your eyes, and then the point toward your mouth. That would have made more sense.
Well, but that's what it was at the very end, right? When they were in the void, I thought it was a pyramid, like an Egyptian pyramid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So maybe the point the movie's trying to make is that the Egyptians were the original void cult.
Is this?
There you go.
No, these are ancient travelers.
Is this a very, 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 very late Stargate sequel?
Okay, now we're talking.
Wow.
And now I'm back in.
I'll watch that sequel.
I did love the synchronization of the cult members lifting the knife, and I was thinking, man, these guys, once this is over, these guys should really go into a synchronized swimming competition or something.
Just break into the Thriller video.
The synchronization was great.
It was. It was really well done.
They all kind of showed up, and
that
was very creepy.
It reminded me of Michael Jackson's "Beat It." They're all just knives out at the same time, and if they were just snapping and coming along. You put some music to that. Oh yeah, they worked on this. That wasn't just impromptu. There was,
those were the crowdsourced people. Those were just ordinary fans.
Oh yeah, exactly. It works.
Stab.
Wait, isn't that Eddie Van Halen? Oh, I always get this. Is that Eddie Van Halen? That is, right?
What?
Eddie Van Halen recorded the solo to "Beat It."
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did.
Fun fact. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, where was he in this movie? Because that would have been a whole lot.
That would have been fantastic.
Eddie Van Halen's just
this is more of a Sammy Hagar quality movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. That's probably
or whoever the third lead singer for Van Halen was that no one remembers.
Fair point. I did not.
That doctor could have been him. We don't know.
It could have been anybody. That could have been how he started this cult. Because I really don't know what the cult's really trying to accomplish. What they get out of this.
They like triangles. Okay, we know that. And there's a Cthulhu monster.
We don't know. Well, okay. Because again, I want to a purist with the Lovecraft stuff. There's no Cthulhu in this.
Cthulhu-esque
There's no.
monster
They
and some
reference
other-
the great old ones. They don't actually talk about. I mean, that's as much just to make the reference, and that's it.
It's Cthulhu-y.
It's Cthulhu-y.
Yeah.
Cthulhu Jr.
Like, at first, he talks about how he wants to bring the end of the world, but really he just wants to bring his daughter back. Again,
but then back means
what
like
is
morphing
this
everyone
cult?
into a
This
tentacle
is
monster.
This is the least defined cult. Like, I really feel like he just put this together a week ago.
I think it was
Now,
like
all that to say,
I just do
though,
what Doctor
apparently
says.
they'd have some fucking baller ass parties with a lot of murdering people.
a lot of drugs,
sex
sex, and murder.
So maybe that's how you drew them in, right? Lots of heroin, lots of heroin addicts doing things.
But the people in the robes couldn't have all been heroin addicts because, again, very choreographed, very.
And also Idaho. Opiate epidemic, you know? That's
So-
probably a hard hit state.
Yeah,
Oh my
there's a lot of
God.
social commentary in this movie that went under the radar that we're now figuring out.
Well, the best movies are thinkers. They make you think about it afterwards.
So no one can see this because you're not where we are visually. But right behind Mitch, there's a cow with a triangle right on its head.
Do not make fun of my pain.
That is a
but
cow.
it's an upside down triangle.
That's a cow cultist.
Gosh. All right, moving
That is some
on.
All right.
porn.
All right.
So you goddamn Boilermaker can shut the fuck up.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
God.
Woo.
Oh, Lord.
I,
All right, so the monsters in this movie. So there's a really awesome scene where they're going down in the basement, and I mean, there's monsters ahead of this, but to me, when the best effects was all the monsters down. The first one you see is the one that's like head banging against the wall with like the rhubarb pie. My fat ass wants a pie, and that's all I'm going to say about
the
that.
doctor has a quote that says, "They want to die, but I won't let them." And the guy's trying his best. I mean,
Jeez.
Yeah.
yeah.
The creatures look incredible. I mean, one of the best parts of this movie is the practical effects and really with the creatures in this. Very reminiscent of The Thing, very reminiscent of really a lot of John Carpenter's kind of works, I thought. And that's what I think I enjoyed.
Yeah, the thing that got me, though, is every time they showed one of these, like, special effect creatures, though, you couldn't quite see them clearly. Like, the lights are flickering or it's super dark. So I'm like, if we turn the lights on, how good would these things really look? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's where instead of having 30 of them, I would have liked a couple of really clear, let's take a good look at these and get the shit scared out of you type.
Yeah.
Instead of like, here's 45 of them.
But
now,
you can
mind you,
barely see them.
I agree with you. The dude slamming his head against the rebar, like that was a good touch. That was a solid
Yeah.
My stomach was not super ready for that. Appreciate it.
I wrote "holy shit" in my notes.
Yeah, but I would again more up close, more like you just get to face it and see it than like flickering lights, spooky things.
Now,
Because it reminded me, you have to remind me which movie it was with those creepy nurses.
Silent Hill.
Yeah, so it reminded me of Silent Hill, and those nurses are creepy, but you can fully see them. Like there's no trying to hide impurities. They are there and they're creepy. And these I felt like they were still creepy, but I felt like they could have, I don't know. That was me. I felt like it always got dark when they saw a creature.
Yeah, a lot of flickering red lights and that.
Well,
kind of
nurses
stuff.
with gauze over their face is a little easier of a practical effect than full-blown monsters. Though.
Now,
So
that crap-
it didn't bother me as much, I guess. I get it. I understand the criticism.
It was also crowdsourced, so they could only do so much.
Right. It's probably, and Mitch makes sense. Like, it's probably hard to pull that off.
It is.
I get it. It just would have been more impactful that way.
I agree. I appreciate I understand where y'all are coming from. It's good comments.
The crab walk monster.
Oh,
was
yeah.
probably my favorite.
Crab walk monster is cool.
That was my favorite. And I wrote, "Holy shit, this thing is trying to kill itself with a head hole. Holy shit, crab walk monster. Holy shit, pregnancy from doctor and killed grandpa." That was my favorite sequence of the movie. That sequence was my favorite part of the movie by far.
Yeah. I had to say my favorite sequence in the movie. I think it was when he was having it was one of the attacks early on, and they said, "Don't let him close his eyes," and his eyes are closed immediately. Yeah, they just no time whatsoever. They're like, "Oh well."
this cop gets pushed around. I wrote in my notes somewhere. I said, "This cop takes a beating like Homer versus Dredrick Tatum." for a Simpsons reference, anybody.
Nice.
He gets stabbed. He has a seizure. He's unconscious.
But okay,
I mean, he's out a lot.
Okay, if you're a cop, you've just handed your gun over to old man Mitchell, who just showed up and requested your gun away from you because you just shot, Beth in the head. You walk outside and there's a dude in a robe with a triangle on his face, and your reaction is, without a gun on you, I'm going to walk towards you.
Yeah,
trying to figure out what's going on.
I like triangles.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Surely he's a nice guy.
It's one of my top 3 shapes. Yeah, go check it out.
Fuck no. You either get in the car and drive the fuck away, get back in the hospital, and ask for some help and tell, hey, old man Mitchell, give me my gun back. There's some dude with a triangle on his face, and I want to shoot for a triangle.
The Mitchell guy,
mind you already shot a nurse in the face at that stage.
Yeah.
But you're actually okay walking up to the triangle face man.
Yeah, you're saying lean into the shooting of people. You're like, if you already done it once, might as well keep going.
Mm.
Well, that the state trooper guy is too busy getting bear hugged by a ridiculous is it a thing monster?
Monster?
Yeah, but then and then I actually I think I might have been grimacing, but when the 2 psycho guys, the guys who get shit done that David likes, come in and they start hacking away at this thing, and it is like a visceral, just
oh yeah,
thunk,
thunk,
just and they go on. It goes on for a minute. They're just chopping away at this thing. It was brutal. Yeah.
I feel like I also expected at that point for these 2 dudes to give more of a briefing, like, hey, we're hacking at this thing because we've done it in the past. We're not just 2 crazy fucking dudes hacking at things.
Well, again, I think they tried to compensate for that by saying, well, he can't talk because he trusted someone once. Never again. Never again.
Basic communication between human beings is what society is built on. Why?
Not in fucking Idaho.
No. Don't worry. Give them 30 minutes and they'll go down into the basement hell with you. I guess they did trust him almost instantaneously after that. But
all right, so they're in the basement. They get to this final showdown with the doctor. The doctor reveals his terrible, stupid plan that doesn't make any sense.
Well, wait, hold on. We can't just gloss over the fact that the doctor gets stabbed in the throat by. I wrote
the tweaker, right?
Off-brand Mr. Robot, and then he dies, but then he's not dead. When you play the sound clip for the trailer or whatever, and the doctor guy's talking, 2/3 of that dialogue is after he has died.
So let me ask you this. He clearly, I think, wanted to die because there is a hostage situation, 2 police officers, the doctor is trying to handle it.
Sorry, not just 2 police officers, also crazy dude with a rifle aimed at the guy holding the hostage. Let people do their job or let someone shoot the
Listen to me,
in the head.
I'm a cult leader. Right? I kind of have a little standing in the community here. Let me handle this. Yeah. I don't know.
You're right. So he lets himself get killed. Half the stuff already happened. He's already planned it, which I guess makes you question. So if was he dead already, or was he just? Because here's the thing: if his whole point is I'm trying to bring, when you die, you go to the void. I'm trying to bring my nasty ass daughter back from the void. But then if he dies, doesn't he go to the void? Has he already kind of worked that piece out?
He can jump back and forth,
which would mean that he's kind of immortal. Which then you wonder, why is he cutting off his whole skin? But
was this movie supposed to be a thinker? Is it really?
No, I think
the questions you're asking are not questions you should be asking.
Right.
No, because I think if he could do that back and forth, then why would you do the back with this busted ass face thing going on?
Yeah.
If you can magically go back to being normal doctor face dude, why would you then
Cut
turn
up all
yourself
your skin?
into fuck, what was that movie? No, it's been a while.
Yeah, that movie. That was a good one. Yeah.
The doctor basically goes back to the void, comes back black-faced.
I mean,
basically.
I just
to Idaho.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well,
I just have to assume that he wanted to die, and that's why he was doing the whole hostage thing. Which again, I feel like probably easier ways to go about doing this.
Yeah, the part with the void and coming back and his experiments, none of it really made sense.
Also, getting to the point where he's cutting off his face. The other thing that made no sense to me, maybe you guys figured it out, is that guy's wife or ex-wife or whatever. He turns her into some sort of tentacle monster mother thing, and I don't know why. Like there's stuff growing out of her, and he's like, "Oh, now she's a mother," and I'm like,
But then she
mother
looks
of
normal.
what?
She looks normal to the cop though too at the same time.
Well, but he's got the hallucinations like everyone else. But I just don't from the doctor's perspective, I don't know what he was trying to accomplish there. What did that get him?
Was it like necessary or like
that's
you
what I-
needed
yeah,
to
I don't
make it be
know.
born
He seems
out of
just-
a human being?
Because at
he's just
first I
fucking with
thought
people, yeah.
he was doing it so that his daughter could be born out of her, but then you find out it's Maggie, the other pregnant lady. So I don't know.
Was that the test? Like, was that a dry run? Like, let's see if we can make this happen?
Maybe, I guess. I was very confused.
I have questions. I need answers.
I
The
don't-
movie should have answered them.
The answers are in the void.
In the
So
void.
you can never get them.
Which, mind you, my wife's immediate comment to the title "In the Void" was, "That sounds sexual."
Especially with the triangle.
Before the triangle, even just
From everything you guys have said, this sounds like you guys are a perfect match.
we kind of are.
Oh goodness! All right, so this final showdown and this ending here. What the hell happens? What does it all mean?
I wrote, someone tell this cop to not get stabbed.
Let's try that.
He's
for a
finding
strategy.
knives. Like, if he was in this place, he would find a way to like step into one of Lisa's hidden knives already. Like at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, this guy is just
Yeah,
it's tough.
So, okay, I don't want to gloss too much over the final daughter being, blown out of the pregnant woman. Which, I mean, maybe that's why people had waiting rooms back then. I guess that's what everyone just thought back. Let's say this is like the 50 or whatever time this is. Maybe that's just why people sit in waiting rooms, and they're just like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that.
Mitch, that is not how births happen anymore. Except for Idaho.
Anymore.
Yeah, they used to just explode out of bellies.
If anyone has any,
You can't tell me otherwise.
If anyone has any Idaho-based rebuttals, please tweet us at TX Pod Massacre.
If you can have negative listeners in a state, I'm sure we're going to have them after this.
I mean, they barely have internet,
Oh.
so I'm going to forward, by the way, this specifically to my in-laws, just so they get to hear it.
Awesome. Okay, so at the very, very end, we're left with the cop and his wife underneath the big triangle, which hopefully doesn't like fall and crush them all in the void.
Yeah, I guess
I
he
guess means
sacrifices to send the black-faced doctor guy into the void to save humanity, I guess, or something.
Is that what they were trying to do? Who knows?
Does that actually? It feels like too easy an answer.
Well, and so that's why I want to do this a little kind of roundtable style. What do you think the ending meant? What do you think the whole point of really that ending of that film was?
The whole point of it was we ran out of money. Like
that's where I'm at. Like
push a guy. Let's use our already used special effects budget of like $3, and then we'll call it a night.
Because it feels like okay, you dropped him into where he was already going.
Yeah.
And now you're stuck there. And you get up and you go like, holy shit, there's a whole other world here. And I'm not prepared for this.
But I think that's where... Don't you dare close your eyes.
Yes!
Like, I was going to try to sing the rest and I realized I'm foreign. I don't know all the lyrics to that song.
You can't. How many times are you going to go to the forum?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot, actually.
You're a US
It's actually one of my
citizen now.
favorite. It's one of my favorite karaoke experiences. It was a couple, like metalhead looking couple, at the Canary Roost in Austin, shithole bar. Get up to do karaoke, and we're all like, what are they going to sing? And it was A Whole New World.
That's awesome.
And they fucking nailed it. It was beautiful. Like, people in the crowd were crying a little bit.
That's awesome.
By people in the crowd, do you mean you? Were you crying?
Yes, of course. I was like, no, but it was actually like very well sang. Because it's a hard song to not draw beers, while you're...
Exactly.
It is a hard song to sing. It's actually a very well written song. And they nailed it. And
That's awesome.
I remember thinking, this is a beautiful song. And I wanted to complete your A Whole New World thing. And then I realized I don't know the rest of the lyrics.
Was it as good as when Lisa and I did The Boy Is Mine, though?
That was pretty good.
It was something. That was an experience.
All for you, Mitch.
It was all for you.
All right, Lisa, what did you think the ending of this movie was?
I don't know.
Were you just checked out at that point?
Look, I really tried
No,
hard
seriously,
to
don't
understand
overthink it.
Okay.
Underthink it, because
So-
they did.
That's
So
why I
I'm
said
gonna-
push the
I'm gonna-
guy. Done.
twist the question a little bit as we answer this, because I mean, I honestly think the question is, what is the void? So I don't know if it was a metaphor for, I mean, once you see it at the van, maybe it's supposed to be purgatory. I honestly think that maybe what they were trying to get at was the void you feel if you lose a child, because, I mean, Maggie lost her child because she exploded. The
I mean, she didn't lose it. It fucking came out
the policeman and his wife, ex-wife, whatever she was, and then the doctor, right? Yeah. So I mean, they all are in these stages of grief from losing their kid. So I think that's what they were trying to get at, but I mean, obviously, we have no earthly idea what the hell this movie was about.
Or unearthly idea, right? As it may be.
See, I would have totally signed up for that if they actually hadn't shown the giant triangle falling out of the wall and the hole and the other world in it. I feel like that would have been actually a pretty good. I would have signed up for that if it would have been like, hey, the void of grief is actually strong enough to actually pull everyone into it. But the fact that they get pulled, like they should throw this other guy into it and they get up and they're like, oh, we're now in this void world.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. That sounds awesome, but that's not really what happened.
Exactly. I think we're overthinking the fuck out of it.
Yeah. Probably.
We should underthink it a whole lot more and go like, oh, you just spear tackle this dude into another dimension and we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I think we'll go real quick. You know, we've talked through most of this movie, but I want to go around and just, if you have one last thing you want to bring up that maybe we didn't talk about. So, Daviv, is there anything else about this movie that kind of sticks out that we didn't talk about?
Not actually. I would have liked it if intern girl had more of a contribution, because at the end of the day, she does nothing, and then they go and do a bunch of stuff and come back and find her alive. So she survives this whole thing.
Yeah.
So is she the best intern ever?
I mean, she's just the most successful one, I guess. But I would have preferred if she would have shown up downstairs and done something, or called for help, or accomplished something in the movie.
Something.
Yeah. Something. She did not deserve to be one of the two survivors in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not very common that someone who does nothing is kind of a little punk the whole time tends to survive the movie.
Also a minority, so that's rough. Like, to be one of the two survivors and you're a minority, that defies a lot of odds.
Yeah.
Normally, brown and Asian people are getting shut up pretty quickly. It's true.
Especially in Idaho.
Especially in Idaho.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Nate, what about you?
I just want to know where the Polaroids came from. There's all those Polaroids.
Oh, yeah, in the doctor's office?
Yeah, it's like all these Polaroids, like all these gross things. Who is, like, what perspective and who is taking things? Like, that
didn't make sense. Him?
Was it?
I guess.
And I guess the last thing is, I don't know if anyone is Coheed and Cambria fans, the band here, but the use of triangles was very Coheed and Cambria-esque. They had like the three triangles together.
The singer from that band looks like a Muppet.
Yes.
That's all I have to say about that.
I saw him live earlier this year, and basically he has like, his hair is like so thick and like ridiculous. He has to like put up in like a ponytail like every song or two. He has to like redo the ponytail.
I don't know what Muppet he looks like, but he looks like a Muppet.
Dread Muppet or whatever.
Lisa.
Yeah, so the only thing that we didn't mention, because it kind of it happens at the very beginning of the movie. It doesn't last long, but when they are chasing the tweaker guy and that girl out of the house, that's kind of a quick scene. But all I could think, sounds horrible now, but when they set her on fire, I was like, stop, drop, and roll. Oh. You're on the ground, just roll.
Stop, drop, and roll with a shotgun shells in your back.
But they shot her first.
I know. No, she was totally wounded. She was. But it went back to my elementary school training, okay?
Well, she stopped, she dropped, she just didn't roll.
That's exactly.
I've never been shot in the back, but I assume it's hard to roll at that stage.
Yeah. Well, you'll never know if you don't try. All right. That was our review for The Void, which now leads me to my question for y'all, which is, what would you have done differently?
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
So, David, you're in this situation. What do you do differently?
Who am I?
Whoever you want to be.
Anyone.
Whoever I want to be. Apparently, I want to be the Asian intern.
Okay,
so
do something.
And I just make bad decision after bad decision and survive this whole thing.
So you be the intern and do nothing differently.
Yeah, okay. I would just do nothing. And
you would do nothing differently. The exact same.
Again, this is one of those movies where you realize, like, the further and further you get along, you had no chance to defeat this thing. This doctor had apparently decades of having figured this stuff out. If you were the cop, you had no chance to beat it because at no point in time do you have enough information to make a better decision. Every nurse, other than the intern, had no information either. So you have no better call, no rational better call. Now, if you had more foresight, yeah, if I'm the cop, I'm shooting the doctor in the head. I'm telling the other to do is, yeah, I'm going to shoot this doctor in the head because obviously he's the guy we're after. And then we're going to keep an eye on his body so we can shoot him in the head again a lot and not let him go to the void. But you never would have known that. So in the absence of that, I'm sticking with Asian intern and
So wait,
behind things.
if the intern had actually just manned up and done the C-section and the pregnant girl dies as a result, does the movie just end? I mean...
Or does
but what comes out does the daughter come out if she does the
does the
C-section?
monster just come out and eat
just start
everyone?
shanking it with a scalpel? I don't know what else you do there, but yeah, maybe I don't know.
Are we getting? But that's a valid point. Yeah, if you give the C-section and monster comes out and it's tiny monster, so you can like stab it a lot, then maybe that's it.
Then you can deal with it. Yeah.
So everything is in the hands of the useless intern who does nothing.
A lot of responsibility there.
Lisa, how about you? What would you have done differently?
Okay, so remember the guy that got stabbed in the eye?
Yep.
I think as soon as this hospital starts having issues, you put him for a transfer. Because I don't even know what he had. Like a broken leg or something. It was something like not even that serious. I'm like, you know what? Just let me go home.
It was probably herpes.
I mean, maybe, but you can deal with it at home, I feel like. You don't have to.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I've never had herpes.
Then he wouldn't get the awesome Night of the Living Dead on TV cameo that he got.
Oh, yeah, that was true.
That was cool.
true.
Yeah. Nate, what about you? What would you have done differently?
I would have explained circumstances to people for all characters.
So you would have used David's talking stick.
Yeah. Say, hey, we just came
Pass
from
it around.
We just came from a cult house. There's cult people outside. They're coming here. We need to band together. Done. That like one or two sentences can solve this.
What's the 7 Habits slogan? Seek first to understand before being understood, or something like that.
Something like that.
Don't have face triangles. That's the first part. But yeah, no, just explaining the circumstances, especially the two guys who came in with the gun. If they would explain things better, there would have been a little more team cohesion, I think.
Yeah. I think for me, if I'm Daniel, he, again, as I said earlier, for the most part, made very rational decisions. There's one that I didn't agree with. The first time he goes to his car, and he doesn't try to radio for backup, or hell, just drive out to your police. I mean, because this hospital is relatively in the same community and nearby. Maybe go and get some backup or someone. There's got to be someone else on shift. I feel like he's in his car. He had an opportunity to. Everyone's in the hospital. I really don't have a reason to actually stay here now. Let me go, because I think this is before Beverly happens. Is before shit really starts going. So
you mean the very first, not the second time?
Not when he goes back for the shotgun. This is the first time when he goes in when he first sees the cultist.
Okay, but his radio exactly. And that one is where he should have seen a cultist and go like, "Nope, I'm turning the fuck around and not engaging this dude without a gun, and I'm just gonna leave."
And I'm gonna get or I'll get, if I think this situation, I'm getting backup. Because Mitchell shows up, he's like, "Are you getting backup?" No one's coming. And it's like, or maybe Mitchell said, "Yeah, some people are on the way." Yeah,
I thought that trooper was a cult guy at first.
Yeah,
I thought he was for sure. He took his gun. I thought he was one of them, but he wasn't.
Well, and he didn't do dick. Like he actually showed up and didn't contribute anything. He
got stabbed.
No. He was a net negative because the guy who came in, then he lost him, the escape guy from the very beginning. He lost the escapee.
Right. Yeah.
And then he got bear hugged by, the thing monster.
Yeah. Also, when you're in the car the second time getting the shotgun and there's a cultist behind you, why don't you just run him over? Just put that thing in reverse.
Yeah, all they have is knives. They don't have guns. They only have knives.
No. Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, that's what I would have done. Awards. Lisa, any award you would have given out for this one?
Come back to me.
Okay, Nate.
I have the Samara Lookalike Award to the doctor's daughter.
Yeah,
she looked exactly like Samara from The Ring, and I'm assuming that's how she died. It was a well-based death of some sort.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's why he was so sad.
Is that why she came back all kind of bloated-y and
Yes.
big?
From the void of the well.
From being in the water, maybe?
That's probably
Except that's a different shape, though. That's circle. We're talking triangles in this one.
Well, as I'm saying, the circle plus the triangle, all of a sudden, crossover movie that's going to have a lot of
Really horrible Sesame Street to learn your shapes.
Oh, my God. David, any awards for you?
I have to go back to The Intern. I mean, least amount of effort, greatest amount of success. 2 people survived. One of them had to shoot a bunch of people, had to set a monster on fire, had to run out of the void as it was closing back up. Mm-hmm. Other one just sat there and did nothing.
So
and cried a lot.
So is this the Easy Credits Award?
Yeah. I would like, least common denominator survival award. I don't know. I'm not great with names.
For me, I'm giving the Leroy Jenkins Award to Vincent and Simon. This is like when you play a video game and you're at the final boss and you've like used all your ammo and you have like the stick left in your like in like the Resident Evil games. You have a stick left. You're like, fuck it, and you just start going to town and you win. That is these guys. Yeah. They just did not give a fuck.
Well,
they came in and just they're total ballers right there.
Well, then in the end, the dad psycho, he lights himself on fire to save his kid too. I mean, they were pretty awesome.
Yeah, baller. They had that's who I want with me in any sort of scenario.
Okay,
Lisa, back to you.
So I'm thinking the most tenacious doctor, because I mean he even gets stabbed almost to death, and he's like, no, I got work to do. I'm getting back up. I got to go cut my skin off. I got to put tentacles in people. I got work to do. I'm not letting this stop.
I got an explosion deliver this baby.
Yeah.
He's totally a workaholic for sure.
That's right.
Oh, goodness. All right, well, that brings us to the final section, my favorite section.
Final cut.
So this movie, Nate, we'll start with you. What would you give?
I'm going to give it 4 out of 10 face tentacle monsters.
Oh, nice. Actually, higher than I thought you were going to get.
I liked the practical effects were cool. I loved the pregnant lady twist. I liked people cutting their faces off. I mean, there were some positives in this, but in general, everything other than that kind of fell apart around it. But
yeah, fair. Lisa,
I'm going to give it 2 out of 10 botched deliveries.
So this movie was as good as the open.
Okay, no. So that's the problem with doing these podcasts. I feel like I need to go back and re-rank some of them. But I'll tell you, I mean, this one, I was thinking about it, and if it is a metaphor for grief, then I haven't seen Babadook yet, and I know you guys want to put it on the
future
list.
episode for sure.
Absolutely.
But from the reviews and stuff I've read of that one, that's also a metaphor for like depression and that sort of feeling. But apparently that one's amazing. They did a really good job. Not so much with this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 2 out of 10.
Agreed. David?
Yeah, 2 out of 10 spooky triangles. Because that's the only thing I keep thinking through the whole movie is like, why is this triangle so spooky? But other than that,
they were pretty creepy in the movie. I mean, they effectively made triangles more scary than they previously had been.
I don't know. I took geometry a lot. I've been scared by it before. I had to take advanced trigonometry. They're scary.
Gotcha.
Beyond that, it was just not stupid enough to be super entertaining, but stupid enough to not be taken.
They were definitely trying hard in this movie. Negative.
Yeah, for me, I give it the higher rating of everyone. 5 out of 10 choreographed cultist. Again, I appreciate the practical effects. There was a lot of things I did like about it. I did think even with it being kind of fun, self-funded, it was pretty clean looking. I did like what the monsters looked like. I actually was okay with the strobe light effects and all that kind of stuff. To me, it was very much like the second season of American Horror Story, which is my least favorite. Just way too much shit going on. They tried to cram too much stuff in it instead of really focusing down on a couple threads, a couple narratives, and really kind of developing those. It was just a lot of shit happening.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week's episode. Nate, let them know where they can find us if they want to.
I'm going to get it right this time. So on Twitter, we are at TEXAS PODCAST MASSACRE. So now we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, We're a bunch of different places, and you can check out our newly revamped website at TEXASPodcastMassacre.com.
Good job, Nate.
Right. And we're also now too on Facebook. We're spreading out as we move forward. So make sure to come check us out, say hi, let us know what you think of the show. David, thanks so much for coming out and chatting about this wonderful film with us. From all of us here, we'll see you next week. Thanks.